So, this is what we call it right here. Of course, we are on the Mount of Olives, and Mount of Olives is really a very important place through the history of Jerusalem in specific and through the history of the Holy Land in general. Because always it was the path, whether in the Old Testament or in the New Testament, from Jerusalem to go down to what we call it, Bethany. It's very close from here, and then all the way to Jericho and the Dead Sea area. Now, why this place is important? Simply because this is what we call it the earthly spot that, Jesus left the disciples. So he took now the 11 disciples came, right here, and then he actually left them on this spot right here. There is like a white cloud came, and Jesus was ascended to heaven. Then two men in white clothes told them, "What are you looking at, men of Galilee? Jesus that you have seen him ascending from here, he will come back again." Okay? Now, the history, or what you see, in front of your eyes, we're talking about a Byzantine church that was first built right here, that has octagonal shape, that was in the 5th century. But now, this small chapel that we call it the Chapel of Angels, this was built in the Crusader period. Okay? So this is exactly 1130 AD was built. Now, when the Crusaders were defeated, it was, no, it wasn't rebuilt because it wasn't destroyed. It was, changed to a mosque. So it was used for a period of time to a mosque by the Muslims. Today it's neither a church or a mosque where it is open for everybody. Now inside, once we have the chance to go to visit the place, there is a rock, like a small rock inside, and we have a footprint. And according to tradition, we believe that this is the footprint of Christ. If you would like to touch it, you can, and photos are also allowed. Now, we really would like, since we are standing in the line, that the Father can come and read for us from the book of Acts, right here, about the ascension and the story that happened right here. Father Miguel?
Right.
Miguelito.
A reading from the Acts of the Apostles. When they had come together, the apostles asked Jesus, "Lord, will you at this time restore the kingdom of Israel?" He said to them, "You shall receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you. And you shall be my witnesses in Jerusalem and all Judea and Samaria and to the end of the earth." And when he had said this, as they were looking on, he was lifted up, and a cloud took him out of their sight. And while they were gazing into heaven as he went, behold, two men stood by them in white robes and said, "Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking into heaven? This Jesus who was taken up from you into heaven will come in the same way as you saw him go into heaven." Then they returned to Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is near Jerusalem, a Sabbath day's journey away.
So the ascension, and in theology, simply this is also known here for us, whether Christians or Muslims, as the exaltation of Jesus and sitting of Christ on the right hand of God after the ascension. Now, why the Mount of Olives has always been important? Because during also the Jewish period and during the time of Christ, any burial, it has to be outside the city at that time. So since the old times, this always has been used as a burial place, because according to the Jewish law, it's not allowed to bury inside the walled city. So that's why when we go also to the view, you're going to see a huge cemetery for the Jewish people that's still used to this day. not only for this, not only for the Jewish people, but also in the Kidron Valley we have a Christian cemetery, very close, to the other side of the Kidron Valley where we have the Muslim cemetery. And this is all because what is mentioned in the book of Joel in the Old Testament about that the right will put his throne right here. So everybody today really want to be buried on this mountain.
Hirap ng lumunod.
Isa.
Right now it's very important because this is where Jesus used to gather with the disciples right here, and the disciples told Jesus that you need to teach us, a prayer, and this is where he taught them the Lord's Prayer. This prayer that you actually say on daily basis. So you can imagine you are exactly in the same place where Jesus told the disciples this prayer right here. It's a very modest, of course, it's a cave, but eventually we can see actually here the app of the Crusader Church from the 12th century, and then we have, the modern church, from the 19th and the 20th century that is now today controlled by the Carmelites. This very important. Why? Because also the Lord's Prayer was said here and was taught to the disciples in order also to make them, like special, or to differentiate them from the Jewish community. So it's the beginning of Christianity that started right here in also this cave. So I think this is the best place that we can actually say the Lord's Prayer right here, and Father can lead, the Lord's Prayer.
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
Glory to the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
In the name of the Father, the Son,
and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
East Jerusalem with the Mount of Olives, West Jerusalem, where you can see all the new buildings, tall buildings over there. Kidron Valley just in the middle. And now you can see this is the biggest Jewish cemetery here in Jerusalem. Now please, everybody, from this moment we're gonna leave the bus. We're not coming back to the bus because
Pwede na magkawanan dito.
Here, you want to buy some bags, Whew. 6 heads, $10.
In the Philippines, when we say locust, we mean the insects, no?
Grasshopper.
Fields, okay?
Bigger
And
grasshopper.
if we read the Bible, it says Saint John in the wilderness, when he got hungry, he ate locusts and honey. Honey, we know what honey is. Locust, what we have in mind are the insects. But actually, the locust is a kind of fruit hanging from a tree like this.
It's
Now,
not
you
an
see those
insect.
green parts, when they
This one?
become ripe,
Ayun.
they become
Asan?
brown. They taste like chocolate. You eat it, it's very nutritious.
now maybe like the Latin name for it, or it's called carob. Carob tree.
Carob.
Yes.
Carob
Okay. Yes. So it is very delicious. So it is our, chocolate exactly. So and we do also like juice out of it from the seeds inside, but still not ripe. As Beth said, when it is totally ripe, you can all see all that comes to the brown color.
So Saint John did not eat the insects that we know as locusts.
Just come to this side, everybody. So here we are entering to the Church of Dominus Flevit, and this is also a Latin word that means the Lord wept, because this is where Jesus cried and also prophesied that Jerusalem will be destroyed. So this is the name of the church. It's a very small chapel, but beautiful, and it was built by the architecture Antonio Barluzzi, and he tried actually to make it, like the sheep or the shape of the tear. So that's why Dominus Flevit means tear of the Lord.
The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke. When Jesus knew near and saw the city, he wept over it, saying, "O that even today you knew the things that make for peace, but now they are hidden from your eyes. But the day shall come upon you, when your enemies will cast up a bang about you, and hand you in every side, and dash you to the ground, and you and your children within you, and they will not leave one stone upon another within you, because you did not know the time of your visitation." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus.
So let me just show you, because this was built in 1938, but again we have seen churches, or what left of the churches from the Byzantine and the Crusader period. On that side we can see actually the beautiful piece of mosaic that goes to the Byzantine church, and then we have this modern church that is built on the ruins of the Byzantine church. It was built to commemorate the Jesus disciples. So you can see this beautiful piece of mosaic that goes back to the first church that was built right here.
Mga ship, may fish.
Designs of mosaic.
So from here we start walking all the way down to the Garden of Gethsemane and the church, where over there we're going to see olive tree more than 2,000 years old that goes back to the time of Christ. And this is also there we're going to have the Mass. And after, of course, the Mass, we'll visit the church and then continue our tour here in Jerusalem. Okay?
Los que sabemos la ascensión.
private photo to the old city, the Golden Gate, okay, over there, and the Church of Mary Magdalene on that side to your right hand.
From Bethlehem, whenever he would come to worship in the temple, agi siya sa Mount of Olives, manawag siya sa Kidron Valley, musaka siya sa Mount Moriah. Mount Moriah is where the temple is.
So everything is a garden of Gethsemane.
This is the garden.
This is the garden.
Yes, where you can see the olive trees, very old olive trees, landscape, entering the garden of Gethsemane towards the church, please. We're waiting for you.
Dan and Sky entering the garden of Gethsemane.
That's right.
Land and sky.
This church is built on the ruins of Byzantine church from the 4th century, and this is the modern mosaic. But you can see here on the other side, like glass panels, that actually the original mosaic from the first church. Now, where we have the news over there, we were lucky because that's where Jesus actually came and prayed. He came with the disciples, told them to stay in the garden right here, and he went like a stone and came to this rock where he prayed and started sweating blood because he knew that his time has come. And then what came to the disciples, and they found them asleep. He told them, you can't actually bear with me for this critical moment. While they were talking, then the soldiers of the high priest Caiaphas came and arrested Jesus from the garden of Gethsemane. You can see the beautiful mosaic paintings. The famous is Judas, because he's one of the disciples who betrayed Jesus, and of course the center Jesus on the rock praying. So we got to go up to see the garden and also the olive trees that they have more than 1,000 years over there. So that's all these places are what we call it the same place, whether the Church of Gethsemane or the Church of All Nations or the Church of Agony or the Rock of Agony. This is for the same place. Now we call it the Church of Gethsemane. This is from the Aramaic language that means Gate Shemen, which means oil press. Gethsemane, Gate Shemen, oil press. Here you can see the old olive trees. In the year 1982, we have the University of California who carbon dated these trees, and they turned out to be more than 2,300 years old. And that's why I always say they are the only living witness about what happened to Jesus here in this garden. And you can see the olive tree, it never dies. Even if you can see the old trunk, no more of the wood inside, because this is when the olive tree dies. You can see shoots come out, from the old part. So that's why the olive tree symbolizes Christ here in the Holy Land, because it's always out of death comes life, and that's the olive tree right here and the garden of Gethsemane. Of the high priest came and arrested Christ from the garden of Gethsemane, and he was brought right here. Why here? Because this is where the house of the high priest.
Caiaphas.
Okay, so because yes, that's how it was. So he was brought to Caiaphas to judge him, and he was imprisoned also one night here at the house of a high priest. And we're going to go down below this modern church to see the dungeons where Jesus was imprisoned for this one night. But for the high priest, they don't have the authority, to condemn people to death. So that was the job of the Roman prefect or the Roman governor. So the next day he was taken inside the old city to Pontius Pilate. But you can see here how Jesus on the left side and Peter denying, Jesus. That's what the prophecy that Jesus told to Peter, you're going to deny me 3 times. And at the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus appeared the second or the third resurrection, where he asserted that Peter would lead the church and would be the rock. And he asked him 3 times, do you love me, Peter? Okay? So, before we go inside, we'll visit first, like the upper church, and let's go down to the lower part and see the this way.
Lord be with you. The reading from Holy Gospel according to Mark. Glory to you, Lord. As Peter was below in the courtyard, once the maids of the high priest came, and seeing Peter warming himself, she looked at him and said, "You were also with the Nazarene, Jesus." But he denied it, saying, "I neither know nor understand what you mean." And he went out into the gateway, and the cock crowed. And the maid saw him, and began again to say to the bystanders, "This man is one of them." But again he denied it. And after a little while again, the bystanders said to Peter, "Certainly you are one of them, for you are a Galilean." And he began to invoke a curse on himself and went to swear, "I do not know this man of whom you speak." And immediately the cock crowed a second time, and Peter remembered how Jesus had said to him, "Before the cock crows twice, you will deny me 3 times." And he broke down and wept. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay? Because he is the highest authority, the highest religious authority. Anything that goes in Jerusalem concerning religion, remember why Jesus was brought here. He was accused of blasphemy. So that's why they arrested him and brought him right here. Anybody else, also anybody would, say anything wrong against the Jewish religion. So he's the one who has the authority to let the people be present in this place. So this is like the prison that was used, the time of Christ for the high priest. So Jesus, after his arrest and the betrayal of Judas and the kiss of Judas, they arrested him, brought him right here, and he spent this one night in this pit, this place that we call it the sacred pit.
This is the pit.
Yes, down there where we have the group.
So that's blasphemy. Ba't ka po? Dungeon nga. Ito, hawakan.
Let's listen to the Psalm 88. O Lord my God, by day I cry out, at night I tremor in your presence. Let my prayer come before you. Incline your ear to my call for help. For my soul is suffering with troubles, and my life draws near to the netherworld. I am numbered with those who go down into the pit. I am a man without strength. My couch is among the dead, like the slain who lie in the grave, whom you remember no longer, and who are cut off from your care. You have plunged me into the bottom of the pit, into the dark abyss. Upon me your wrath lies heavy, and with all your billows you overwhelm me. You have taken my friends away from me. You have made me an abomination to them. I am imprisoned and I cannot escape. My eyes have grown dim through afflictions. Daily I call upon you, O Lord. To you I stretch out my hands. Will you work wonders for the dead? Will the shades arise to give you thanks? Do they declare your kindness in the grave, your faithfulness among those who have perished? Are you wonders made known in the darkness, or your justice in the land of oblation? But I, O Lord, cry out to you. With my morning prayer I await upon you. Why, O Lord, do you reject me? Why hide from me your face? I am afflicted and in agony from my youth. I am dazed with the burdens of your dread. Your furies have swept over me. Your terrors have cut me off. They encompass me like water all the day. On all sides they close in upon me. Companion and neighbor you have taken from me. My only friend is darkness.
Brothers and sisters, let us contemplate. In that very night, Jesus was all alone. He had no friends. All his disciples have gone away. And even his best friend, Peter, denied him 3 times. He felt so betrayed, so hurt. It is an unbearable pain for him. And it was very dark. Probably he even thought that the Father had left him. In our life also we have been betrayed. Maybe many times. Not only by people who do not know us, but people who we love. And that's the most painful part of the betrayal. Jesus was all alone. He was dying not for himself, but for all mankind, for us, for his friends. He couldn't go to his mother. He was arrested. He was all alone, all alone. Probably, the pain that he felt was not so much the physical pain, but the pain of being left alone. Now that we are here, let us show Jesus that we love him, that he is not alone, that we are here for him, that whatever and whenever he calls us, we are ready for him, because we cannot repay the way that he loves us. Let us show Jesus that we love him. In moments like this, I sing out the song. I sing out the love song to Jesus. In moments like this, I lift up my hand. I lift up my hand to the Lord, singing, I love you, Lord, singing, I love
just to add a few things. Remember now it is, you can see we have lights, we have, like dry walls, but at that time Jesus was left alone here in darkness, in this abyss right here, and everybody left him. So he was left alone in this place and humid, but eventually this is from this place he was taken to the Roman Pontius Pilate the next day. And when we go to the old city, we start actually with the Via della Rosa that will lead us to the Holy Sepulchre Church where the crucifixion is. Okay? So please.
And the angel of the Lord declared unto Mary, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Behold the handmaid of the Lord.
Be done unto me according to your word.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death.
And the Word was made man.
Dwell among us.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Pray for us, O Holy Mother of God.
That we may be worthy of the promises of Christ.
Let us pray. Pour forth, we
Beseech you, O Lord,
thy
grace into our hearts, that we, through hope and incarnation of Christ your Son, was made known by the message of an angel, made by his passion and cross, brought to glory of his resurrection. To the same Christ our Lord.
Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
You can see even part of the Garden of Gethsemane. This is where they arrested Christ from over there and brought him all the way through the Kidron Valley, and then we call it the Tirpion Valley right here, through these steps. If you look to these steps, just to the left side, this goes back to the time of Jesus. And, Christ actually walked on these steps when he was brought, arrested, to the house of the high priest Caiaphas. If you look at the carving, the stones, this is how it is, They're arresting Jesus all the way from the Garden of Gethsemane and tying his hands and beating him all the way until he was reached and imprisoned, where he was put in the sacred pit that we visited just below the St. Peter in Galilee. So this part of the wall right here, going back to the Turkish or the Ottoman Empire period, and Suleiman the Magnificent is the one who built this wall, and this is another gate that we're going to go through. This is called the Lion's Gate, and that's simply because of the lion sculpture that you see them flanked on both sides of the wall, so that's why they named the Lion's Gate. Now, before, of course, being named as the Lion's Gate, this was known as St. Stephen's Gate. St. Stephen's Gate is known to be the first martyr in Christianity, and he was stoned on this side, Why stoned? Of course, he was stoned and he was killed outside the city walls at that time. Of course, the wall that was at that time, it was destroyed because we have many wars that all these, empires wanted to control Jerusalem. Eventually, the last wall that you see it right here, this is from the Turkish period, from the 16th century. So we're going to go through Anne Church, and we all know Saint Anne is the mother of the Virgin. Why we have it right here? Because again, this is the tradition where inside we have a cave, and that's where the birth of the Virgin Mary, down, just below this level. Of course, we've been to Nazareth because that's how the way it is. The birthplace here, but lived over there. And then because of the census, they came to Bethlehem, because from the tribe of Judah, moving from here and Nazareth. Now this is one of the full complete churches that's still standing, that goes back to the Crusader period. 1140 it was dedicated. It is one of the most beautiful. You can see the architecture in front of your eyes, but also at that side we have the ruins of the pools of Bethesda. Okay, that's the name also of the place, St. Anne Church, or the pools of Bethesda. And these actually pools were used even before the time of Christ, because they were known for being healing properties, and people used to come to these pools in order to be healed. And one incident at the time of Christ, when there was this paralytic, 38 years, this man nobody came to help him, because they thought at that time that the angel of the Lord come and touch with its wing, the surface of the water. And the first one to jump, he will be healed. But this man is paralytic and no one is actually can help him to move him and put him down there. And Jesus came and simply said to him, take your pallet and walk. Okay? And that was the same we talk as today. It's a Shabbat day. Now, when the Jews saw this gentleman, who now is healed, walking, carrying his, bed, or they actually said, who did this to you? And said, it is, Jesus. And they said, how he can do this on a Shabbat day? And this is, takes us to the main or the most important question. Which is most important? To preserve Shabbat or to heal this man 38 years? And the answer of Jesus was simple. My Father worked on Shabbat, so do I. Okay? So we'll let you see the ruins over there, then we can go inside. Don't forget to go down to see the place of the birth of the Virgin Mary. But Beth maybe would like to share with us also, from the Bible.
In the Gospel of John, chapter 5, the healing of the Bethesda at the Bethesda pool. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool which is called in Hebrew Bethesda, having 5 porches. In this lay a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain time into the pool and stirred up the water. Then whoever stepped in first, after the stirring of the water, was made well of whatever disease he had. Now a certain man was there who had an infirmity for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he already had been in that condition a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I am coming, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, "Rise, take up your bed and walk." And immediately the man was made well, took up the bed and walked. And that day was the Sabbath. So, brothers and sisters, I want to do a little sharing. Many sick people. There was a crippled man, a blind man, lame. Everybody was there. We, in our life, also can be considered as crippled, can be considered as lame and blind, and we feel that no one can help us. Of course, Jesus can help us. But even among ourselves, we can help each other. Supposing the crippled man and the blind man cooperated between them, and the crippled man would say to the blind man, and the blind man would say to the crippled man, if you see the water stirring, push me. Okay? And when the crippled man pushes the blind man gets healed. And the blind man can see. Then, in the next turn, the crippled man can be pushed by the blind man because he is no longer blind. He can see the water being stirred by an angel. And the ending would be, both of them will be cured. So it's just like us, no? Husbands, wives, mothers, daughters, fathers, sons, sisters, friends. When we see that the other is weak, we should help. Because we also have our own weaknesses that we may not see, but others see. I think that is one of the values that we should take from this story of the crippled man. Because the Bible says there were many sick men. Not only the crippled man, many. And each one of them can help each other.
Thank you very much, Beth. Now, just to add one last thing, about also this place, when, Jerusalem was conquered by the Babylonians, the people of Israel, or the king at that time, he was actually so confident that Jerusalem is so powerful and no one will be able to conquer Jerusalem. And that's why he said, we're gonna just send the blind and the lame to defend Jerusalem, because no need for the armies and the soldiers, because it is so fortified, okay? And you can imagine, when Jesus came, the two miracles that he did in Jerusalem is healing, the lame and the blind at the pools, or what we call it, pools of Siloam, when he actually spit on the mud, put it on the eyes of the man, and told him, go wash your eyes over there, and he have the sight again. So between the Old Testament and the New Testament, okay? So this is something just to think about. Now you can go inside. So I told you visit. Don't forget to sing the song inside because it's amazing. So we'll give you 15 minutes right here to go around, see the church and then the ruins over there. Thank you very much.